Ladies and gentlemen, gentle ladies and dudes, welcome to Wasting Time with me, Sam T. Wasteaway. Happy birthday, Surveyor Mark! Happy birthday, Mark Twain! Happy birthday, Snow White's Adventures! Happy birthday, Golden Horseshoe Saloon! Happy birthday, King Arthur's Carousel! Happy birthday, Peter Pan's Flight! Happy birthday, Canal Boats! Happy birthday, Mad Tea Party! Happy birthday, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride! Happy birthday, Casey Jr. Train! Wait a second. You weren't open until July 31st. Casey Jr. didn't actually open on the day that the rest of the park opened. It was here, so it's kind of considered it's its birthday, but it didn't open until July 31st due to it still being testing and they were still doing some modifications to it. But it's close enough that we can still consider it a opening day attraction that's still open today. On opening day, Fantasyland was the one that had the most attractions at 7. Some of the other lands like Adventureland only had 1. Tomorrowland had attraction stuff, but there's only one that remains, which is Utopia. Happy birthday, Utopia! Peter Pan's Flight was another one of the opening day rides, as was Snow White's Adventures, although now it's called Scary Adventures. A little bit of information about this. The last scene in this ride is not inspired by anything except for the imagination of the Imagineers that created the ride. Mr. Toad is pretty much the same as it was on opening day. The only difference is, they've upgraded some things, but the core story is still the same. That last scene, it wasn't inspired by Wind of the Willows or anything part of that story. It was just came about from the Imagineer's mind for that ride. But Mr. Toad's another ride that was here on opening day that is still in operation, and then you can ride it, and it's still practically the same ride as it was on opening day. Along with the carousel, Casey Jr. Railroad, and Mark Twain, the canal boats was actually part of the plan when Walt had the idea for the park across the street from the Burbank studios. Of course, that idea grew and became what is Disneyland now. From opening day till about 2 weeks after the park opened, the ride was prone to problems. The engines would overheat, and the little houses that we see today weren't there. They were just pretty much botanical gardens.
Travel to enchanted places through the pages of a book, but those of us that travel in person, or rather do a rabbit hole, or with the help of Tinkerbell pixie dust, often find it to be magical or even menacing. But don't worry, even though it looks like we're going through the jaws of monster, the same one that's called Pinocchio, we're actually being transported to a magical place called Storybook Land. We keep curious,
The Storybook Land ride is one of the rides that is still in operation today that you can ride that was operational back on opening day. Happy birthday, King Arthur's Carousel! Okay, now here's a bit of trivia about the carousel, and let's see if you can find it. There's supposedly 71 horses and 1 mule in there. Oh, and 1 bench. I'm asking because I don't know where it's at. Do you see it? Do you see it? If any of you know where the mule is on the carousel, add it in the comments below. So next time I'm here, or anybody else, when they come here, they can find it and take a ride on the mule. A lot of changes have occurred to Fantasyland since opening day. The carousel is still here, but it has actually moved back. Where the carousel is right now is where the Mad Tea Party used to be. And over more in the center is where the carousel used to be before the 1983 redo of Fantasyland. Dumbo wasn't here, but they had the pirate ship and Skull Rock that was over there. That was like a little restaurant. That is no longer here. And then over here, where Pinocchio's Daring Journey is now, that used to be the second Mickey Mouse Theater that they had here in Fantasyland. But that is no longer here. But as far as opening day attractions, all 7 of the main attractions that were in Fantasyland still remain today. The architecture of Fantasyland was a lot different then too. It was more like a medieval fair, and now it's more like, I guess, kind of like a Bavarian village. That little gold dot that's in the ground right as you enter the castle is mistakenly as the center for Disneyland. It's vertically, that's incorrect, but horizontally, it is correct. What it actually is it's a surveyor mark so they could line up the center of Main Street entrance with the center of the castle and the drawbridge and all that. On opening day, when Walt Disney did his dedication for Fantasyland, he stood pretty much like where I'm standing. Because there was a rock that was over here, but it was over in this area. On opening day, Walt Disney stood about right here for the dedication for Tomorrowland. And just as the land had hiccups with being ready for opening day, even Walt's dedication had some hiccups. Walt stood about right here for the dedication. Behind Walt was, instead of the Astro Orbiter, it was the World Clock. Tomorrowland was the least ready on opening day. Due to budget cuts and timetables, they almost didn't have anything ready. The Utopia was ready, but that had gone through some extensive changes as well. Prior to the opening, they didn't have bumpers on any of the cars, which proved disastrous and destructive. A lot of the cars got banged up. This was well before they had the guardrails on there to keep the cars in their own lanes. But so for opening day, they wrapped the cars in, it was like a spring rail wrapped all the way around the cars to alleviate a lot of the bumping between drivers or inexperienced drivers driving the cars. But as far as attractions go for today, as opposed to opening day, the only attraction that's available in Tomorrowland is the Utopia. I haven't been on the Utopia for a long time. It's just as I remembered. Still bumpy. The cars go slow, which is probably a good thing, but still very enjoyable. And then also the fact that this being one of the only original rides still left in Tomorrowland makes it kind of special.